It is 1972. There's World Championship between Bobby Fischer and Boris Spassky. There is very interesting games that were played, and in today's video we're gonna review the first game that they played. This was one of the greatest and most legendary time in chess history. So let's begin review with the first game. Spassky has white pieces and Fischer has black. d4 played by Spassky, knight f6. It's called the Indian game. c4, e6, knight f3, d5, knight c3, and bishop b4. Now this turned into a typical Queen's Gambit decline position. This is position that Queen's Gambit players really face when they're playing against black. Now e3 played by Spassky, castles, bishop d3, and c5 played by Fischer. So right from the beginning you can see that black has equalized the advantage that white had from the beginning. His advancement of the pawns and developing of his pieces really gives a black an advantage, not only positional but in terms of the end game, in terms of pieces. Fischer has chose the opening that would benefit him. Castles, knight c6, a3, a3, and now bishop a5. In terms of this game, there's nothing significant from the beginning of it, because the opening is very balanced. There is no imbalances that these players can exploit. In this position now bishop is on b6, and Spassky can move his queen. Spassky can play many sorts of moves, but he goes for the takes c5, queen takes, rook takes, pawn takes, and now before we can see that Spassky simplifying the position is showing us that both players are willing to draw this game and nothing significant will happen in it. Bishop e2, bishop d7, rook c1, rook d8. Knight d4 played by Spassky jumps with the knight in order to create pressure on c6 and on this pawn in later in the endgame, because this pawn can become weakness. Knight takes, bishop bishop a4, bishop on d3 blocks, takes, and we get in the simplifying position. You and I thought that this game would be just very normal, nothing special happening to it when I first saw it. I think it was 2018 when I first saw it. I thought that nothing would happen here. Like there is two pieces for white, two pieces for black. Everything is very balanced. The only thing is that Boris Spassky has the rook here, which is more active than the rook here, but it is very easy to activate rook in the endgame. So this is what Fischer does, plays rook c8, king comes to f1, he comes to f8, d2, king e2, knight e4, rook c8, rook c1, rook on c8 takes on c1, bishop takes, and f6 played by Bobby Fischer. So we can see that everything is relatively equal. We can see nothing in the position is telling us that this is gonna end in a decisive result, because everything is just equal. Everything, pieces are equal, pawns are equal, position of the pawns are almost equal. The only thing that is that the knight is on e3, which gives us two ideas. One, it can be booted very easily. Another idea is that, well, knight is very active here. Only thing white he has is that his king is much more developed and much more active. Knight on a5, knight on d6, king on d3, bishop on d8, knight to c4, bishop goes to c7, takes, b5 takes, and we get to critical position where Fischer takes pawn on h2. Well, when I first saw this move, I was shocked, because I generally really thought that this was a major mistake. And this is a major mistake. You can see that after Spassky plays g3, what can black do? You can't really escape this. Well, you can play h5, that is one idea, and Fischer played h5. King e2 is played then h4, you try to escape it, but king e2 and nothing happens. Then Fischer goes king e7, king g2, f takes g3, pawn takes g3, bishop takes g3, king takes g3, and everything is simplified. And it is a relatively equal position because Fischer has significant resource, even though giving up his bishop, but it's very hard to say as white, because white really has that bishop that, if gets activated, can dominate the whole board and actually destroy Fischer's pawns. King comes to d6 and a4, d5, a3, bishop a3, king comes to e4, and now bishop goes to c5, protecting the pawn. a6, b6, f5, and now king h4 played by Spassky. His idea, I thought that even though this pawn is very well defended, he wants to go here and grab these and cover these critical squares for the king. So I thought that this idea was very interesting. Now Fischer doesn't care, he goes for all-out attack, he plays f4, now takes, and king h5, king goes back to f5, and we now see that evaluation bar said that Fischer is losing, Spassky has advantage, and if we'll see how Spassky will use this. After bishop b3, king e4, bishop f2, king f5, Fischer really has lost this grip on the position. As you can see, these pawns are very vulnerable. Even though you have a passed pawn, these pawns are untouchable. You can't move this pawn, and bishop is dominating the board. You have to give up this pawn to survive in the position, or you can give up you have to give up that pawn and still lose it in this position. e5, bishop g5, e4, bishop goes to e3, king goes to f6, king g5, king g4, king e5, king g5, king d5, and now we see that king is almost shouldered. This pawn is going to fall no matter what after a few moves. Now g pawn falls, and after this move, it's all over. Spassky has gained an advantage. You will take pawn on a4, I will take this, and I will use my king to win this pawn. This pawn is also defended, so it's over. King takes e4, king takes a4, king d5, king b5, and now Fischer resigns because there is simply nothing to do in the position. If you do something like a4, I go here, and there is nothing you can do, because even you move these takes, go here, I protect this square, you can't promote, and my pawn will promote. So really, this was a Russian masterpiece that was played by Boris Spassky. Definitely one of the most historical chess games, and this was one of the few times where Boris Spassky has done something against Fischer. Other than that, Fischer just came out and absolutely destroyed everything that Spassky had. So we will also review that games in the future, but I wanted to start with this game to show at the time, even though American beat Russian excellence was still in chess. And after that, so very fascinating game. Bobby Fischer, even though he lost this game, he after that game went onto a beast mode, and he showed that dirty communist Russians how to play chess. Goodbye.